Stephanie White, head coach, Indiana Fever. Now, if you have been here for a little while, you may have heard me use the word narcissist when talking about Stephanie White. And I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, he's being hyperbolic. He's exaggerating a little because he wants to make a point about how he feels about Stephanie White. And yet, no, that is not it. And I think maybe some other people right now are starting to catch on. But when I've called Stephanie White a narcissist, what I mean is Stephanie White is a narcissist, full on. Everything is about Stephanie White. She makes everything about Stephanie White. Man, and we have a great example now, and I think now a lot of other people are starting to catch on because I know people have talked about this. People are making videos about this that maybe it's starting to connect in the brain that, yeah, Stephanie White is a narcissist and she is not the coach for Caitlin Clark. So we're going to look at a couple of things. One, a clip that shows why people are starting to open their eyes and think, yeah, you know what? She might be this. But also, we're going to combine that with some other things that really help cost them the game against the Atlanta Dream that are 100% on Stephanie White. And it's something she's been doing all season long. By the way, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Hope you all having a fantastic day. Shout out, of course, to the 19. Do me a quick favor, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you are still subscribed. If you have subscribed and haven't checked in a while, just glance because YouTube gets funky. We all know that. Comment down below about Stephanie White. So I have three very short clips that I want to play for you as we talk about that. The first being, we're going to set it up. Now, you probably all know this already. In fact, I did a video about Nike the other day. Caitlin Clark against the Atlanta Dream finally, finally, finally got to debut her signature shoe. Now, I'm not going to get into all the ridiculousness about Nike and why this took so long and on and on. I did a video on that, but she finally got to wear it. Now, a lot of people talk about, oh, well, why aren't any of her teammates doing it and so on and so forth. And I get that, but it does get a little tricky. Sophie Cunningham has a deal with Adidas. Aaliyah Boston has a deal with Adidas. Now, Aaliyah, shout out to Aaliyah because I believe she, like, if you look at a distance, it looked like she was wearing Caitlin Clark's shoe, but I just believe she wore a same color version of her Adidas shoes in solidarity with Caitlin Clark, which I thought was kind of cool. But obviously, we're talking about a signature shoe with Nike. For a lot of athletes, that is the ultimate dream to be able to do that. That is a huge night. Even for someone like Caitlin Clark, who has gone through a lot, has had a lot of accolades, everything that she's gone through as an athlete and been celebrated for and on and on. That's a big night, right? It is a big night. And yet, on that big night, what does her coach do? Well, let's take a look. What you are looking at here is a pair of Nike that Stephanie White had made just for her. Yes, that is correct. On the night that Caitlin Clark finally debuts her signature shoe, Stephanie White wants to make sure that the attention is on Stephanie White. And yeah, the announcing crew actually zoomed in on this, or the production crew, but the announcers talked about it. So on Caitlin Clark's big night for her signature shoe, they're talking about Stephanie White's custom shoe. What do I mean by custom? Well, on the tongue, it has her last name White, as you might be able to see on there because it's tough on the tongue. She also has the number 22, which was also her number on Indiana, right? The one that's going to be remembered only for Caitlin Clark, the one that's going to, I'm sure, be retired if she stays in Indy and be put up in the rafters, number 22, is going to be Caitlin Clark, not Miss Indiana, not Stephanie White. No, she's not going to be remembered in her own state on the franchise for which she played as number 22. It is going to be Caitlin Clark that is going to be remembered for playing with number 22. So there you have it. Stephanie White on the night Caitlin Clark debuts her own signature shoe. We have Stephanie White. You can kind of see it if you look at the her right. So you're looking at it's probably in the left. You can see in that yellow in there, she's got that number 22. Absolutely kind of wild. And I know we have people who have actually wanted to spin and be like, "Oh, she wore those in solidarity with Caitlin Clark." No, I'm pretty sure wearing Caitlin Clark's signature shoe would have been in solidarity with Caitlin Clark, not whatever she's wearing here, which is a Stephanie White shoe. It's me, me, me. Look at me. Let's make Caitlin Clark's big night about me, me, me. That is what Stephanie White wants to do. Now, just to add to that, this is completely separate from the shoe, but again, it goes back to Stephanie White's behavior when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because this is the type of thing that she has been doing all year long. Here we are. This is the first half, and Caitlin Clark is going to pick up her third foul, which is a big deal to pick up your third foul before the end of the first half. And as you will see, once again, because it's been a thing all year long, we have two things here. We have the officials not giving Caitlin Clark freedom of movement when she has the ball, but constantly calling non-fouls as fouls against Caitlin Clark, compounded by Stephanie White never once challenging. And you can see Caitlin Clark is really, really pissed off, dropping an F bomb, wanting that to be challenged. Again, this is less than a minute to go in the first half, and she picks up foul number 3. We're going to get a better angle so you can see. This is, in fact, great defense by Caitlin Clark. She does everything correct here. This is fantastic defense. This is in no way a foul. We've got an offensive player dipping her shoulder and then simply falling down to the ground. There's an official with a great view. There's an official to the left on the baseline that you can't see that's standing right there. We might see him if I roll this. We bring him into play there, right there. So you have two officials, great views of this. This is not in any way, shape, or form a foul. This is another thing that the WNBA is doing to Caitlin Clark. But again, what is made worse is Stephanie White did not challenge this. She hasn't challenged anything for Caitlin Clark all season long. All you can assume from this, all any rational person can assume, is Stephanie White loves Caitlin Clark getting in foul trouble because she gets to bench her. But wait, there's more. Less than a minute and a half into the fourth quarter, and Caitlin Clark picks up foul number 5. Yeah, you saw it, pretty much the same exact thing. Once again, Caitlin Clark does it right, plays good defense, and they call a foul on Caitlin Clark in this play. So, yeah, the whole thing's disgustingly embarrassing for the league, for the officials. But once again, Stephanie White does not challenge this call, which is, of course, ridiculous that she would not do it because, again, Atlanta's up 88-80. The fourth quarter just starts, and you do not call this. You let Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, enters the fourth quarter with 26 points and 7 assists, and we all know she should have had a lot more than 7 assists. She is your engine. How many points did Caitlin Clark have in the fourth? How many assists did Caitlin Clark have in the fourth? Zero. Why? Well, Caitlin Clark was sitting on the bench because Stephanie White, once again, did not challenge this. But hey, by the way, she did challenge a call against Sophie Cunningham that we all knew was no way ever in any universe going to be overturned. Once again, we saw that in another game where we had terrible calls against Caitlin Clark. Stephanie White didn't challenge them. Aaliyah Boston commits an obvious foul, and Stephanie White challenges it. Absolutely ridiculous. Stephanie White is a terrible basketball coach. Stephanie White, I don't care what anyone says because I'm bringing the receipts. The evidence is overwhelming. Stephanie White cannot stand Caitlin Clark. Yes, you heard me. Stephanie White cannot stand Caitlin Clark, and she took Caitlin Clark's maybe biggest night of her career to this point in terms of, an accomplishment, and Stephanie White made it about Stephanie White. I think wearing those shoes is disgusting. It is reprehensible. Can you imagine Michael Jordan's coach wearing his own custom Nikes on the night that Michael Jordan debuts his Air Jordan sneakers? It would have never happened, but I tell you what, it would have been a massive, massive conversation in sports media, but no one wants to touch this because they are protecting Stephanie White. Hey, remember that video I did the other day about the crappy media and not doing their jobs? Has anyone asked them? Has anyone asked Stephanie White this question? Both questions? Hey, Caitlin Clark picked up two massive, massively important fouls that altered the course of this game. Why did you not challenge them? Because neither one was a foul. It's clear neither one was a foul. They obviously would have been overturned, and yet you challenged one for Sophie Cunningham that there was no chance it was going to get overturned. Oh, and hey, by the way, on the night that Caitlin Clark debuts her signature shoe, you decided to wear a custom shoe about you, reminding everyone that you wore number 22 in Indiana. Don't you think that's kind of weird and maybe just a little disrespectful to your star player? I'll wait. I won't hold my breath, media, because I don't think I would be able to do it for that long, but I will wait for you to ask these questions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. I will talk to you later.